Good morning, everyone. Hope all's well. So, today we are going to be going live with Antonella, who is a central London based property agent that deals with lettings. So, I want to know about how the lettings market is going on. Obviously, I know about it, but it's good to get other agents' views on this. So, I'm going to send a notification and Janella. There we go. Send. Super. Wave.
Hi, we are
Good morning.
live. Yes, I can hear you.
How are you? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm
Good
glad
stuff.
it's a brand new week. So, yeah.
Are you ready for the week?
Yes, absolutely. I'm actually in Malta at the moment.
That's what I thought when you left your live story. I was like 12 p.m. UK, and then what did she say? Malta. I was like,
Yeah,
hold on.
1 p.m. Malta. Yeah. So basically, what happened is I was furloughed, like a lot of people, and I decided to, come to my home country to be with my family.
Good stuff.
So yes, I'm
Nothing
still
better.
here.
Nothing better than visiting family.
Exactly. So I've been spending a lot of time with them, maybe a little too much time.
It's starting to get boring now, right? Um,
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for coming on, Antonella. I appreciate you spending
Thank
your
you.
time, and I know you're on furlough right now. You spoke about the fact that what am I going to be speaking about? But it's all good to hear. Like, how is it being on furlough? How is it being a real estate agent in the lettings background? I want to hear about that. So, I deal with lettings, I deal with sales, but it's good to have other estate agents' views on the market right now, how things are moving. So thank you so much for taking out the time and coming on the live. Appreciate it. Um, so before we start, Antonella, if you can just introduce yourself as to who you are and what you do, and then we can get the conversation going.
Yes, absolutely. So I normally go by Nella. It's a shortcut. My name is quite long. I was born and raised in Malta, and about 4.5 years ago, I decided to move to London to further my career in property. I actually started out here in Malta as a real estate agent. I was actually in sales. However, then when I moved to London, obviously it's a big city. I didn't have, that confidence to get into sales. So I started out in lettings and,
Can I ask
you know,
what was stopping you to get into
yeah,
sales when you already had a sales background in Malta?
yeah. I think it was the fact that I didn't really have a choice. So I was hired by a company where they don't really give you that choice whether you want to go in sales or lettings. They saw that I was quite passionate, I had a lot of energy. So they were like, you would be best suited for lettings. So
Okay.
I kind of stuck to lettings because I do enjoy it. But ultimately, if you want to further your career long term,
Yeah,
you have to switch to sales eventually. So I
of
am
course.
actually going through that transition right now,
Good stuff.
myself. Yeah.
So you've actually found yourself something to do once you're off furlough.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. Yes. I love to remain busy. So, when I was still in London, I was learning Arabic. It's one of my passions,
Okay,
actually.
amazing.
Yes, our native language in Malta is about 40% Arabic, so it's always been
Okay.
my dream to kind of explore the roots of the language and, become a more confident speaker. And
Where were you
also
learning
having
Arabic? In
worked in
London?
areas like Mayfair, I was introduced to.
Middle Eastern families.
It was online.
Okay. Okay, you were learning it
Yes,
online on
so
a.
I have. Yes, it was like an online platform where I had like worksheets and videos, and also I use YouTube a lot as
Good
well.
stuff.
So it's not easy.
Good stuff. So we were talking about you being a real estate agent, right? So did you always think that you wanted to get into real estate, into property, or you had other dreams when you were young, going to university, school, college? Did you have a certain aspiration in mind that possibly become a lawyer, a doctor, or no, it was always from the start, it was being a property estate agent?
No, it wasn't the case. No one in my family was involved in real estate in any way. So, they had a couple of investments, but no one had worked in real estate before.
Okay,
So, it wasn't until I graduated from university, I got a full-time job with a pharmaceutical company doing marketing. And
okay,
I was so bored after a year. I was like, I need something a bit more fulfilling. So naturally, I'm a people's person.
okay.
And, I met one of my friends and they were like, you should try getting into property. So, yeah, I just took a shot
And
and
how
I'm still
long
here.
ago was that you got into property?
5 years ago.
Okay.
So not a long time.
And are you okay to give the company name where you started, or you can't?
Sure, absolutely. So I actually started out at Engel and Volker's Sarah Grech in Malta. So Sarah Grech is a real estate mogul in Malta. She had her own company for 30 years and then she kind of joined, which is an international franchise, and that kind of put
I think
Malta on the map.
there's one on Edgerton Terrace or Garden somewhere in Chelsea. It's there. I've seen it. I've seen it around.
Yes,
I think, what is that restaurant? I'm
Obey,
forgetting it.
in front of Obey.
That's it. Yep, that's it. Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
did
yeah.
you
There's
when you were working in Malta in the company, how was it working there? I mean, you mentioned that you were into sales. So how was the market in Malta at that point that you got into it?
Yeah, so it was actually very busy. It was quite overwhelming because I didn't have any previous experience. Obviously, I received very good training, but at the end of the day, I didn't have that confidence to have any market chat on the phone,
Okay.
or to go out on a viewing. It was nerve-wracking. I didn't have any confidence.
You told me the same
So,
thing when we were going to arrange the live. See, it's so confident. It boosts your confidence, right?
yes, it's all about confidence, and it took time for it to build, but it definitely helped me in closing deals. But it
Good
takes
stuff.
time to build, definitely.
What's
Um,
the highest property value that you sold in Malta?
Yes, it was actually a house of character, we call them in Malta, which is a traditional Maltese house. And it was an Australian couple who flew to Malta for a week and wanted to find a house. So they were under pressure. They were putting all the agents under pressure. And I think it was 5 months into my role, I took them out and I showed them this house. They fell in love, and that was worth 750,000 euros.
That's not
The
bad.
system in Malta, yeah, the system in Malta is same as America and Dubai, where agents are, paid by commission. We didn't have a basic salary, so we were given
Okay.
like cars and phones to work with, and
So
obviously access to space base.
they should do the same thing in London.
I know. I mean, that's what makes an agent, is having that 360,
Absolutely. You
formula.
gotta
It works.
you gotta work on your instinct, on your, value, what you're building up, relationships, all that kind of stuff. But estate agents out here, the basic, I think, sort of kills that um, instinct that when you start thinking, like from in terms of commissions, it's like if you haven't made it, then
Hmm.
you're thinking like, what are you going to do at the end of the month? You know, how are you going to take
Absolutely.
out the whole month? But it's the system out here that we work with. So you
Hmm.
moved over from Malta to London. How was that experience?
Whoa, I was in for a ride. I mean, the property law was overwhelming. I didn't have
Totally different.
ALA, such a different market. I started out actually with Foxton's office in Harrow in
That's
the
not bad.
Northwest region. Yes. So again, I received a lot of intensive training from Foxtons, and that's where I gained more confidence on the phone because they recorded our calls. So, you know, that pushed me to
So did
qualify.
you always think there is someone listening to my calls at the
Oh
back of
yeah,
this?
100%. I'm like,
And did
I
they?
can't say that.
Did they ever come back to you and say that you know, Antonella, you should sort of tone down a bit or be enthusiastic? Did you ever get that sort of feedback from your bosses out
Yes.
there?
Yes. I would from my manager on a regular basis. You know, she was like, you need to sound softer on the phone because you're coming off as maybe aggressive, or, you know, you need to work on your market chat, or
Okay.
you need to close better on the phone. So they would give regular feedback, which was good, you know. It was a very good training, and we covered not just Harrow, we covered Harrow, Wembley Park, Ruislip and Pinner, so it was quite a big patch. But my dream was to
Did you
work in
ever
Queen's
think
City.
that, did you ever think that, you know, I'm doing my job, I'm speaking on the phone, I think I can close this. Why are you giving me feedback on the fact that, you know, I should tone down a bit and all that kind of stuff? Did you ever take that personally? Just asking you, the working environment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in the beginning I did, because I'm like, you know, I used to sell houses, now I'm doing lettings, you know, and I'm like, I sold houses.
It was, I mean, how was the working environment in Foxes? I've heard that it's pretty tough with working with so many agents around you and everything, you know, people are constantly in that mind frame that they have to sort of achieve more than they can. You know, how was
Yes,
it working there? It was so I'm sure I've spoken to a few agents in Foxtons and they've all said that it's competitive beyond
yes,
competition, you know.
yes.
So how was it working there?
For me, I look at that experience as going to real estate boot camp, literally, because you had to be at the office 7:40 sharp. Sorry,
Wow,
8:40 sharp. You
wow,
had to make 60 calls a day. You had to
wow.
book, you know, a certain amount, 6 viewings a day. You had to get 2 offers from those 6 viewings. It was very KPI focused, where you're like, you know, where it got to a point where you just burn out. You don't enjoy it anymore because you're like a robot. You're operating like a robot. So it was a very positive experience. And, you know, the good thing about Foxtons is they hire personalities. So, you know, the people that I worked with were so much fun. They were, honestly, I never had a boring moment, you know.
Yeah,
So even during the call out session, we had fun, you
okay.
know. But I think personally, like my personal life suffered because I was going at work back home at like 8:30, you know, because then you
Wow,
get addicted to it and you
of
want to
course.
close those deals. And, you know, I just
And
burnt
then
out.
even when you get home, you have emails, messages, all that kind of stuff just popping up, and
Exactly. It
you
never
know,
ends.
it never ends. Um, so you were working in Harrow and Wembley. How was the market like at that point, compared to what it is today?
It was so busy. It was high volume. You know, we had a lot of students, professionals moving in the area because obviously on the Met line, it's easy to get into central London. I
Yeah,
think it's about a 20-minute
yeah, into Baker
tube.
Street and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, Baker Street, Great Portland Street. So it was very busy and it was very rewarding because it was easy to close a deal. Definitely.
Good stuff. And then when did you decide to leave Foxtons?
Yes, I think I got to a point where I was like, I want to work in central London. This is why I came to London. And I felt like I wasn't getting it in the Northwest.
Yeah.
So I had a good, you know, lifestyle there, but I wanted a bigger challenge.
Quickly, I'm going to ask you about this. How was the turnaround in deals working in Harrow? I know we've not discussed Mayfair, but how was the turnaround in those deals working in Harrow to working in Mayfair?
So Mayfair is a very specific market and it's a very different market from the Northwest. So you have less transactions, but obviously
Bigger
the
transactions.
the transactions are bigger. So it's like less work and you get paid the same or more, sometimes double.
Whereas in Northwest, you had to put in the effort, do maybe 10 deals to make it equivalent to one deal in Mayfair, something like that, all
Exactly.
that. How was the
Exactly.
commission rate in Foxton? Sorry, I didn't ask you this.
So at the time, oof, if I remember, I think my package was about 14K with like a 10% commission. If that- Something like that. I don't remember
Man, you
exactly.
must
It
have
was,
been burnt out at the end of it.
yes, 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 yes. I was burnt
Did
out.
it ever get raised, or no, it was at the same point before you left?
Well, obviously they wanted to keep me because I was a performing agent, but I think my mind was in central London.
Okay,
So even though they could have, helped me with the situation, I think I still wanted to work in central
move.
London. Uh, yeah,
And then,
move, yeah.
so which company did you move to? And how many agents did you apply to after leaving Foxtons?
Oh, so many, so many. And no one would hire me in
Didn't you
central
didn't you
London.
didn't you ever think didn't you ever think that I've got Foxtons on my CV and I'm hireable? Did you ever think that?
In other areas, yes, but the central London market is so hard to tap into, because a lot of agents have years of experience, right? So as a new agent, who had no experience in the central London market, no one would give me a chance. And I kept trying and trying and trying and trying until one of my contacts who worked at Chesterton's in South Kensington helped me get a job there,
And
so.
and
Mhm.
like, didn't you try moving to a Foxtons branch in Mayfair? Didn't you ever think of that?
I did, but they were closing down at the time. Their office
Yes.
on Park Lane closed down, so
And
they no
we've
longer
got
exist there.
Sober's
Ma-
Realty right there now. Yeah, in Mayfair.
Soba, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Which is more of a showroom rather
Developer
than
showroom kind of thing. Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
So you said you worked in Chesterton's. How was the work ethics working in Foxtons to working in Chesterton's?
Oh gosh, it was different. It's like once you have that Foxton's mentality, it's like you can relax a little but still keep the work ethic, high on a high level, so that you are still going out getting deals, still putting hours into your call out, and still talking about the market on the phone, because that is crucial.
Of course.
So that was a good experience, actually. They were At the time they were trying to open an office in Escort from the South Kensington office, and it was doing really well. However, then I got the opportunity to go work in Mayfair, and I decided to just take it
Through Chesterton's or someone else?
through someone else.
Okay, fine. And how was it working at that company then after?
So it was challenging because it wasn't an egg roll. So I was fixated on this idea that I wanted to work in luxury property for so long that I was ready to take a role as a property assistant in the highest billing office of a worldwide corporate brand, humble myself, and look at the opportunity as a learning opportunity rather than an earning opportunity.
Of course.
So I was working at Knight Frank in Mayfair, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, it was so
So
fast paced.
looking at your working career, you've never had to
Yes.
struggle in that case. Like you were at Foxtons, then at Chesterton's, then at Knight Frank. Did you manage to join Savills at the end?
No, no, I don't think I tried. I don't think I tried. I was like, look, I don't know how long I'm here for. Get out my way. I want to get, to the core of, the real estate market.
Of course.
And I just used to go to Mayfair. I'm like, oh my God, I would love to work here. So I just made it happen, you
From
know.
all your three experiences, Foxtons, Chestertons, and Knight Frank, who do you hold the top? I know you're on furlough right now, so you might not be able to.
Well, it's funny you say that because, you know, I try to seek the opportunity to become a negotiator at Knight Frank, but it didn't happen. So
Okay.
I actually moved to another office. So this is in the matter of 5 years, in Mayfair, which is a boutique agency called Jackson Stop. It's actually like a country
Yep, yep,
office brand.
yep, yep.
So I already had the experience and the knowledge of the estates, because in central London, you don't really deal with a lot of private landlords.
Of course.
You know, you have the Crown Estate, Howard de Weldon Estate, Portland Estate, Portman Estate. So you are dealing with portfolios,
Yep. Huge
you know, so
portfolios.
exactly. So I had to see their properties and learn how to kind of, you know, educate the applicants, especially international students, you know, about their procedures, because some estates are not very flexible, you know, with
Yep,
negotiations.
yep.
But yeah, it was a very good experience. I mean, you know, I went from being a property assistant to closing a super prime deal as a negotiator in my first 6 months working as a neg in
What
Mayfair.
was that super prime deal?
It was a duplex apartment in just off Grosvenor Square, and the asking price was about 8,000 a week, and we closed,
Ooh.
7,000 a
Wow.
week.
Wow.
Yeah, they rented it for a year, so it wasn't like a
Amazing.
short-let super prime, and
Yep.
it was, you know, paid upfront. So it was a deal that put me on the map and kind of gave a response to everyone in Mayfair that didn't hire me and didn't give me a chance, you know. So
Is that your way of getting back at them?
yeah.
Good stuff. So we've spoken about your career and everything so far. A few things that I want to speak about is from where you've seen the market, in London, going from Harrow to South Kensington to Mayfair, closing super prime deals like these that you just mentioned. How do you see the market right now? Or how did you see the market changing over time to where it is today?
Well, if I had to focus on the Mayfair market, because it's such a particular market, I think that it was already seasonal. So any agent that is working in that area knows that they have to go through the downfall of January, February, March, where it's not as busy. But then students are starting to look for property to rent. And that's when the peak comes, you know, from May till October. We have a lot
Can
of
I just
student
stop you there?
relocated.
Don't you think that peak's now going to go down with all these universities doing virtual lessons?
Absolutely. I mean, if the universities remain closed, you know, we're not going to have any international students wanting
And
to
that's going
live
to
here.
have a
So,
downside on possibly the rental market,
yes,
possibly the capital growth of that property. I mean, this year, in essence, is looking to be really shaky because Cambridge has already announced that they're not going to have any classes until 2021 September. So, and many universities will follow suit soon enough in this thing, where they don't want to risk the lives of students and all that kind of stuff. So they may have virtual. How are estate agents going to cope up with doing deals and providing that rental income for the property
estates.
owners? How is that going to work out? A bit of feedback on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that agents in central London need to work on establishing relationships with other agents and relocation agents. So relocation agents can be tricky, but we need to look at them as our friends, you
Yep.
know, because they have a very robotic list of properties that they get from different agents, and they're like, oh, even if you have a new listing, you can't present it to them because they won't let you view it on a
Is
tour.
it is it is it hard to get into relocation agents?
No. Why? Because most corporate companies have a corporate department, so they have, relocation agents who send inquiries all the time. But I think post-COVID, it will become more about personal relationships, about being adaptable to the market. And if we focus on, corporate leads, because companies will need to have families transferred to London to work from there, and these people will need an apartment to rent, then that could be one of the solutions.
So you
I don't.
think the solution to the student market would be providing tenancies or properties to the corporate world, but then this corporate world also is going to be
Yeah,
sitting at
suffering as
home and
well.
working, right? It's the offices are not open yet. Canary Wharf is closed. The
Yeah,
city is closed. I mean, so there are going to be more and more people working from home. So I
working
think
from home.
the fact that the student market is going to go down
Mm-hmm.
is going to be an upside for another market, like you mentioned, the corporate world, the professional world, where people
Yeah.
are going to be living from home, working from home, all that kind of stuff. So it's good to know about that. How do you think the market has changed in the last 5 years that you've been here?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think it has changed over time?
Well, I think I definitely saw the effect of Brexit, for instance, at the end of last year. There was a lot of uncertainty in the market, both in sales and lettings. And I think that earlier this year, the sales agent had a lot of hope because the sales market started to pick up,
It
and it
picked
was all
up.
over
It
the
picked up big
news.
time.
Exactly. Prices started to go up, and, it started to look very promising.
Yep.
But then, we took another hit. But at the same time, having said that, I do think there is a lot of confidence internationally in the central London markets and the UK. Because if I had to talk about a transaction that happened in Piccadilly, which is the Ritz Hotel,
It's hotel.
it was purchased for £800 million,
But
making it the most expensive hotel in the
ever
world.
sold. Absolutely. But my point on that is, yes, you have those transactions that take place,
Mm-hmm.
the multi-million pound transactions, but those are only one-off. How is that one-off transaction
Mm-hmm.
going to boost the economy where obviously someone like that, the Qataris, there's
Yeah.
no shortage of funds, right? They
No, but
don't
I
need
think
they don't need to hold on to funds. They can
no.
spend that money. But there
Mm-hmm.
are people, even multimillionaires, even
Yeah.
billionaires right now, they're feeling the pinch because in the last month or so, 2 months, there has not been any activity going on in the market. So don't you think that these people will hold on to their funds rather than spend their funds into property and a property which is possibly not going to get rented? For example, the student market, all that kinds of,
Yeah.
don't you think that is going to have a negative impact on the property market?
Well, it all depends on the motivation of, the purchaser. Are they looking to purchase property to have a high rental yield, or are they looking to purchase property, for capital appreciation? In
Yep,
Mayfair, the rental yield, the average rental yield is between 2 to 4%. It's very
yep,
low.
yep,
So investors there buy for capital appreciation because
of
they want
course,
prestige. They
of
want
course.
to say, I have this asset, I own this asset,
Of
right?
course.
And I think you mentioned Qataris, they've been very consistent in purchasing, very iconic buildings around Mayfair and around the West End in
Knightsbridge,
general.
yep, yep, yep.
Exactly. So when it comes to rentals, that is also a very lucrative market because, again, a lot of people from the UAE, from Qatar, from Saudi Arabia, come to Mayfair for summer to spend summer there because they want to shop at Selfridges, shop at Harrods. It's a lifestyle for them,
Which
and
is
they
not
say that.
happening this year.
Well, I wouldn't exclude it. I wouldn't exclude it. I mean, we are opening the airports here in July 1st. So, anyone's welcome to come to Malta.
I'm sure Malta will be more on the list than London this year, I guess. Um,
Yes.
that was good to know about the market and how things are shaping up and how you think things will shape up for the future. So this is the question that I want to ask you. Sorry, I forgot one of the most important questions. You're one of the
Sure.
people that I've spoken to who's been on furlough.
Yes.
How is it being on furlough? What is it about, and how do you see yourself progressing during this time?
Well, it was obviously, a sad time. The fact that you get used to a routine, and I'm very much about routine. I miss being on the phone. I miss talking to my clients. I miss showing property. I miss my job, But at the same time, I'm taking this downtime as a positive experience and focusing on myself. For instance, getting on IG Live, you inspired me to also get on IGTV, because I was like,
Thank you.
why not vlog? I am a talker, so I was like, why not? So I think the experience that I've had in London has, helped me grow as a person. However, it hasn't helped me build my personal brand, because the corporate companies that I've worked for did not allow me to have an Instagram account and talk to you like I am talking to you now. They wouldn't, be so open about it.
By the way,
And
BTH Properties allows anything that you want to do. So,
exactly. And now it's key. You talk about this a lot about, building your personal brand.
of course,
And it's so important to, consistently leave that digital footprint, because people want to relate to someone. And if I'm here for my applicants, everyone has their own niche,
of course,
then why not give them that access?
absolutely, absolutely. Has your company told you when are you going to come back or not yet?
It's still in the negotiation process,
How
so
is
we
it?
don't know that. Yeah,
Good
yeah,
stuff. But although property companies have opened up,
yeah.
it's weird to have estate agents still
I
on
know.
furlough. But anyways, it
Yeah,
depends on every company's policy. Um,
yes.
Antonella, before I wrap up, and I do this with every guest that comes on to my live, I know it's tough times that you're going through as well, and to give some positive advice to someone out of that, it's sometimes very, overwhelming. Like if someone comes up to me and I'm going through a tough time and they tell me that, give me some positive advice, and I'm like, come on, I need some right
Ah,
now. But
yes,
if you
yes.
can shed some positive light and give some positive advice to all these people like yourself, going through furlough, unemployment, redundancy, negative impact of lockdown, of COVID, all that kind of stuff, and to look at the positive side that yes, there is a light at the end of every tunnel. What would you advise people like that are going through all this negative impact that's around us right now?
I would say that this is temporary. It's not a situation that is forever. When I decided to move to London, they had just announced Brexit, and everyone around me told me, what the heck are you doing? You're moving to London. There's going to be a recession. The property market is dead. You're not, and everyone told me not to go and do it. So I saw an opportunity, and because I decided to, take that opportunity, I stood out and I followed, myself through this journey, and succeeded, because at the end of the day, everyone has a different definition of success.
Of
Don't
course.
forget, I wasn't born in the UK. I wasn't raised in the UK. I come from an island that doesn't even show on maps, So for me to work in Mayfair was a dream. And no one told me I could work in Mayfair. Everyone saw me as a property assistant, or, you are in the north, from the northwest. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
You don't have years of experience like we do, But I'm
Are
actually
you are
now.
you are you saying this because you felt it from the companies that you worked at?
I felt it in general from, yeah, absolutely. I felt it, from other agents, or, people in the industry, it's a cutthroat industry, especially in prime central London.
And it's a cutthroat and a very quick one to judge people too.
Yes, absolutely, you know. So all I wanted was an opportunity, a chance, you know. So I think this downtime we should look at as a positive, you know, experience to kind of focus on ourselves. Anything that we want to work on it, whether it's working out more, you know, learning how to cook, visiting your family more, you know, and focus on constructive behavior.
Of course,
And there are so many resources out there on YouTube. Just go on YouTube and learn more about things that you've always wanted to do,
of
you
course.
know. So yeah,
And if you
that's what
want
I
to
would
learn about
suggest.
the real estate market, the Central London market, check out this IGTV live. Every industry is cutthroat. Strong property. Well, yes, it is, of course. But thank you so much for joining me, Antonella. It's been a pleasure talking to
Thank
you
you.
about
Same
your
here.
career, your background, the market. Thank you so much for sharing all this positive knowledge that you've done. And I hope to see you in London very soon, where we can work on a
Absolutely.
deal very soon.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
do come and visit me in Holland Park whenever you're down.
Will do.
Thank you
Fantastic.
so much
Thank you
for
so
coming on.
much.
Take care.
Cheers. Thank
Bye bye.
you. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Absolutely. Strong property. Amazing comments. Do leave some comments when I post this IGTV live on my profile. Thank you so much to Antonella for turning up and sharing some amazing insight on different companies that she'd worked for. These companies are top real estate agents. I consider them to be top, even though, I'm in the market. But Foxtons, Chestertons, Knight Frank, everyone has a different working environment. And it's good to know from an agent, someone like Antonella, to see how she's progressed in life in these careers. So thank you so much to her, and thank you to all the viewers that tuned in. It's been great to have these live sessions. Like I mentioned, I think I've done like 75 plus 80 live sessions, and the amount of knowledge that I have in my brain right now, I need to give it out. So, but yes, thank you so much to everyone. Take care. See you on my 3 o'clock live, where I've got an American artist, TV celebrity. So it should be good. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.